Greetings, comrades from the Soviet Union. Today we're going to look at the K-92-2. Now, me personally, I love this tank. I'm getting out of character for a minute. I love this medium tank. I love it just so much. Um, I know this is a really late review on this tank, but, I really do love this tank. I mean, this is perfect for a sniper tank in my opinion. And I'm going to show you why. We'll get into the armaments. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of videos to show what you can and can't do, but let's get started on this. Now, those who know me, let's start with the armaments. Now, the armaments is what you expect from a medium tank. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole list of it. You can actually look at it personally yourself, but I'm just going to talk about the major things. This here, the underlip of the turret ring, can be easily penned if a shell lands underneath there, so be careful with that because it could break your damage ring turret. I love the head rotation slope, and you're going to see why in game in a few minutes when we get the gameplay footage up. But the rounded turret here, like this whole rounded head, makes it ideally perfect to block AP and APCR easily with this tank. It's really a beautiful design to do. I mean, the only problem I have with it is, as you expect, the two commander's hatches right on top, one on the left and one on the right. Now, to be fair correctly, is the right one needs to be covered at all costs. So, like for example, if you look at this tank, the left one is more flatter, which is more nicer when you're hold down, makes it really hard for the enemy to pen that thing. But on the left, it may be more rounded, more easily to block an 88 gun. Like if it's an 88 gun, you're going to easily block this stuff, guys. Very easily. However, if it's not an 88 and it's firing heat, it's going to pen through that commander's hatch thing easily. So keep in mind when you're trying to brawl with it, is not exactly ideal for against guns with bigger calibers. Now, granted, you can get away with it because the head turret is rounded. So any big guns that only fire AP at you, or APCR, you can get away with it as long as they don't hit the dead center of the commander's hatches. You could brawl and get away with that, but you got to be very careful of not letting the shots hit directly in the center when they're looking at you. Otherwise, it's going to go right through your tank. So keep that in mind. This is not a tank you want exposing your whole armor completely, which is a huge problem because the gun mantling, it can only go slightly down. Yep, it's one of those Soviet designs, the ones where the gun depression does not go all the way down from the tank, meaning it's really impossible to aim below the tank if you're on a hill. God, the amount of times I want to shoot enemies downwards and I can't because the Soviet Union cannot invent a way to have their guns aimed down. But that's my opinion. But all in all, it's mediocrely good armor. Good against blocking AP and APCR for the head turret if you stay in range. And that's the thing I want to talk about too. This tank is mostly heavily designed to be a sniper tank. Now, getting out of the armaments, let's go right straight to what type of guns you have, what it does, and how much things and all that. Now, the gun itself is a 100mm D46 TK, which I want to say like a little bit buffer version than the Motherland. Now, if you don't know the Motherland, I'll show a quick tank real quick. Yeah, this is the Motherland audience. Basically 100mm, basically like that, but more on steroids. Alright, back to the tank. So basically you got 100mm, D746 TK. It's actually decently very good. I like its aim mechanics. It's actually not bad at aiming. However, though, the fire rate on this is amazingly good. I don't have the good crew in this because I wanted to test it first in this video and this alone if you have it like a stock crew in it and stuff like that. So I only got a 6 cents. So literally the reloading you get with the equipment pieces that you'll see later on that I put in it, it goes down to like 7.5. Now, with a good crew, you're looking at probably almost 7 seconds, or pretty much, I wouldn't say like 7 seconds if you put everything on it, including the combat rigs, or 6.9. That's incredibly fast for a reload. I mean, think about that. That's really fast. So, your accuracy at 100 meters is 0.35. Again, that makes fair because the gun is okayly balanced, but because I told you this is a sniper tank is because the head armor is more better blocking stuff at long range distance. Unless it's heat or high explosives, you ain't gonna block that. Or a very, very, very high DPM gun like the Tortoise. And we'll get to that in a minute. I don't like. You know what? I'm just gonna say it right now. This tank plays into tier 10s, and I gotta say, why wargaming? Why does this tank have to play tier 10s? This tank cannot fight tier 10s unless you have a team that helps you tremendously to keep the enemy tanks away from you. But God, it's just. Sorry, I'm getting way off track. So basically, damage 250. I would say 230. 230 or 220. That's usually the max rolls I've been doing for the last 5-6 days of. Actually, no, not 5-6 days, sorry. 2 or 3 days I've been playing this tank, nothing but non-stop this tank. I've never seen a roll 250 unless I load high explosive on a light tank, but I've never seen it high roll like that much on any tank. So 223 or 230, and we'll get to the type of ammunition, but how much you carry in this tank is 55. So, yeah, there's not a lot of ammo in this tank, as usual, but it's enough for one game, obviously, like Wargaming hopefully does every time. It's not as bad as the Stir Mill, where you only carry like 17 rounds. No, at least you got a decent variety, but it goes down really quick when you need certain types of shells. So, that being said, as you can see in the penetration on the top, we'll get to that in a minute. For the max health you get is 1,350. Ooh, I mean, granted, yes, if you play it right, hold down sniping with it, it's amazing because you don't have to worry about a lot of armor piercing hitting you, but you do have to worry about artillery that's going to hit you a lot. You're going to have to worry about tank destroyers with heat or overpending their guns penning up to 400 penning you every 5 seconds. That's going to be a problem too. So that health, I see what Wargame is trying to balance it, but it's like it needs a little bit more buff, if you know what I mean. Like at least 1,500 at least, because again, yeah, you have a fast reloading gun, but only if you could pen this son of a bitch, especially in high tiers. So max speed 55. I didn't find no problem with the turning. Maybe a little bit on the move, a little bit of a pain in the ass. Head turret rotation is perfectly okay. It's decently good. But turning it is a bitch on the move, but the speed is perfectly fine. Like, I have no problem with the speed. The speed is actually perfect for the class of tank that you need to do for hit and run tactics. Viewing range 418. Ooh. But your concealment, if you got camouflage on it, is 318. Now, I have binoculars on it to make it better, as you can see by the equipment side on the freaking left screen, which we'll get to that in a minute. I had to put binoculars on because this tank has a horrible spotting range, which is funny because, yes, this tank plays like a medium and should be mediocrely supporting, which you can. I'm not saying you can't. But I'm just saying the best way to play it usually is to snipe with it, so I put that on there. So all that said and done, your communication single range 730, and again that's normal for a Soviet tank. 44 turret rotation speed, horsepower you only got 330, so you can push like a Tiger, but you can't like push a lot of medium, heavy tanks. Obviously you can't push them. And then you got turret rotation speed, viewing range right there of 418 when I put the thing on there. Turret rotation is 40. Again, not bad. And it tells you the hit points. Whew! Okay, there was a lot I had to go over there, but I'm trying to hurry it up because we got 2 videos I want to show you and my personal opinion. Now, with all that said and done, let's talk about how to fix it. Well, obviously I told you the viewing range is a little bit down F. So, what I did, for my loadout at least, and you can agree with me or not, but I will give you different options. I put in the advanced reloader, the advanced gun lane drive for aiming speed, and optic binoculars, which is perfect for a design of sniper that I want to be, because again, this tank seems more better off being a sniper than a brawler. There's very rare occasions, like you're going to see in the video, where brawling can work, but you're going to see why that brawling should not work in this tank. So if you want to turn it into a brawler, you can always have armaments to make it better. You could have shell accuracy, which I wish I could do with the tank, but again, I'd rather have the aiming speed and the reloading and the binoculars because I'm old school, and yeah, the aiming shell accuracy would be better, but I really like the aim speed because if I'm going to quickly shoot someone, I want to have the chance of hitting them and with a direct hit instead of just waiting around. Movement speed, you don't need that because honestly, you move decently enough. If you want to make it a fast light tank, that's up to you because at the end of the day, it's your tank at the end of the day, but I'm just trying to teach you. For clutch braking and whole rotating speed, yeah, that would be a given because this tank has a little bit hard time clutch braking on the move when you're turning. But you don't need the max speed, you don't need the horsepower, you definitely don't need them. Switch to ATGM ammo freely. Again, I don't know why they put that equipment in there because we don't have ATGMs, not in this tank. Spawn liner, that's only if you're having really problems with artillery, but it doesn't really make a difference because I did install the tank and still get hit with artillery. You're going to still lose a huge chunk of your health, even when you have it or not. So you might as well not have it because honestly, at the end of the day, if you get hit by artillery, you get hit by artillery because Spawn liner doesn't really do effectively well with a mediocre tank. I mean, yeah, it could if it hits the turret ring. You could say that arguing with me. But to me personally, spawn liner on this tank, not really worth it, especially if you're going to get hit with artillery anyways. So, I mean, yeah, there's also the KV2 high explosive damage, but again, like a professional player will know not to get hit by it or let alone try to avoid it. They don't want to like stand out in the open, get HE to death, and still get hit so many times. You don't want that. Camouflage netting? Maybe. I mean, that's only if you want to snipe. And crew performance, I didn't put that on there. Okay. All that aside, let's talk about the commander now. Because the commander plays a big role in this. Now, as you can see here, I only have 6 cents. So you're seeing this tank bone stock when you're going to see the game, but I will show you the other perks that you may need for this tank. Now, of course, this tank, you can use APCR. So I'm going to tell you that right now for the round. You could definitely use Iron Mace for your tank. You can use Born Leader. You can have rapid reloading to get that reloading down. Do a delicious slow reload to rack up more and more damage to get more and more silver money for your crew, XP for your crew, money for your tanks and stuff. Beautifully perfect with it. Increase accuracy. That's depending on if you're going to do like me, that I'm going to do with my tank, turn it into a sniper. You don't need the turret ring speed. You don't need that unless you have a hard time hitting tanks on the move. You don't need increased accuracy on the move firing because you don't. Deadeye, maybe, because this is a low caliber gun of 100 mil. You may want this to increase your chance of odds of doing more damage. Clutch braking, definitely a must, because even though if you sit still you turn good, but when you're driving on the move, trying to get away from someone, doing a circle bob wheel around the tank, if you have no choice, clutch braking would be better off to have for that type of emergency. Concealment firing, maybe a must if you're a sniper. Stick sense, definitely a must. Maximum viewing range 6+, definitely a must because your tank needs to see. Radio communications, I've seen this tank play sometimes as a light tank. Like when I spot the enemies, it sometimes can play as a light. I walked out of a game one time having more spotting assist damage of 2,600 in one game with that tank. So it depends if you want to do that, because you could turn it into a light tank, but not like going up brawling like a light. The best way to describe it is like light tanks that sit in the back scouting kind of way. So this probably could if you want to change it to that. Mark the target. That again, that's personal opinion. If you do more spotting damage in it than your regular damage, that's totally up to you. Decrease armaments, no. Firefighting, definitely, because your whole armor is crap. um, I hate to say it, but you can get easily set on the fire in the rear end than you do with anything else. Track repairs and repairs, that's personal opinion. So, all in conclusion, you want perks to snipe. You want perks that help you flank and brawl, just in case, for emergency purposes. And you want things that actually help the whole armor not suffer so much if you have no choice out in the open field. But again, these are all players' perspective. But me personally, I would go towards sniping more, since this tank is most heavily based on sitting in the back, sniping at people, and flanking people more easily than brawling light tank scouting. But that's your guys' decision. Alright, we're almost done to go to the battlefield, but first we have to talk about also the cost of armaments, like the ammunition costs and stuff. So, for the ammunition cost, obviously, first round, APCR. This is your standard round, which I have a huge problem with APCR. It's my personal opinion, but to me personally, APCR has a more harder time penning tanks than standard tanks. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's a high penetration like the Sturk S1, they're going to pen up to 410 millimeters of armor. Beautifully perfect for penning stuff. But here you have a tank that has 212 for 100 meters, and then 500 meters, 188 millimeters. Ooh, that's slightly below average, penning an average 8. Now, don't get me wrong, the 8 mediums, yeah, you could still frick them up, but most 8s I know have more than 250 millimeters of armor, especially if you're trying to attack the heavy tanks. Now, I don't want the gun to be godly and shoot everything. That's not the whole purpose of world tanks, but having 188 and is you're designed for sniping, yeah, I could see a problem with people telling me that it can't snipe really well. So, here's my opinion. So, if you're going to snipe, you got to do it in a crowd of people. So that way you won't get killed easily. Hold down, but stay 400 meters away. That way you have a chance of 190 millimeters a pen or nearly 195 millimeters a pen. I know that's not your best odds, but going up close to 100 meters away is a good chance of getting yourself killed, especially if you don't have a team that, like most World Tanks players, not really going to help you that much. So keep in mind for that. So damage it does 250. I call bullshit because I do 220 or 230. Ammo max speed is 1,150. So whatever you shoot at, you have a good time limit to where it's going to hit its target really fast. I mean, it's APCR. It's the fastest shell compared to armor piercing that goes slightly slower, and heat being like okayly slow, but high explosive. Good luck hitting that far away. But I wouldn't recommend loading high explosive. So that's only 945 a shell. I keep 32 because, again, this is my bread and money maker right here. And it's cheap, affordable, so I can't really blame that if you miss a lot of shots or do something, but it's very cheap. However, this is the shell you're going to have to fight tier 10s a lot. And 4,800 a shell. Let me explain how bad that is. Because the damage on there you're seeing on the paper right now, you don't do that much. you do like 230 or 220. Tier 10s have nearly 3,000 hit points. If you don't land every goddamn shot, like I tried one game and shot and pen a lot of tier 10s just to see how it is. Oh my god. I barely made money out of that game. Because it's heat. Now, for the pen is 100 meters, 290. Okay, that's, you can pen 8s with it, and you can pen closely to any other tank, and obviously 500 meters, 290. So you have a better chance fighting 10s with that round. So you're going to have no choice but to have that ammunition in a tier 10. You know what this reminds me of? And a lot of you are going to be like, oh, or, oh yeah, I remember that tank. It was my favorite. I would say this tank reminds me of the Object 2. Hang on, let me pull it up on the screen for you. This tank, audience. It reminds me of the Object 430 version 2. The gun where literally the normal rounds are decently okay, but not perfect at all, to where the premium rounds is what most people spam. That's what reminds me of the K-92-2. It just reminds me so much of that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the normal rounds are bad, because that's what I spam mostly. That's why I have so many of it. But against heavy tanks, I could see why people would spam the premium at a heavy tank. Because 290 millimeters of pen versus 188 for sniping, where I'm telling them to do, there's a better chance of survival for this tank. Most likely I'm going to be seeing a lot of spamming this at people. And yeah, it's... I'll just move on. Max speed is 980. So you could see like the APCR will be a lot more faster than this, so you have to time it a little bit. And last one, I don't pack none of it. Because you could see I put 23 in the heat. This is HE, high explosive. Now I don't pack any of this because the gun is way too small of a caliber to basically harm any hold down tanks, because even though with HE you only get 50 millimeters of pen and 50 millimeters of pen for any range, damage of 330. I've tested it on a light tank, and sometimes it is a pain in the ass to pen a light tank with HE, unless it's like one of those really boxy light tanks. If it's like the Lycan's a little bit more harder to pen HE because of its so much angle shed all over it. But you could pen it. I'm not saying you can. You could do a full fledged. I did it one time. I did like 330 right on him, but God, you gotta hit him in the right spot though. Otherwise, if you hit him any angle, any crooked thing, it's not gonna end well. So I pack none. There's really no point. Unless you want to pack like 1 or 2 or 3 for artillery or something like that, go ahead. But your better chance of penning with armor piercing, more better chance than that than high explosive. In my opinion, just don't. But it's 465 a shell, so can't really argue for the price of that, but not really worth it. Alright, so we discovered all that. I know it took a little bit longer than usual, but let's get into the game. Okay, audience, the first video I want to show you right here is something you do not want this tank to be doing with. This would be like a nightmare for the tank. Now, this is the battle with tier 8s. Now, as you can see on the back, we had a pretty good tier 8s. Not bad, and stuff like that. Now, as you can see right off the bat, I had to skip some of the beginning part of it, so that way you guys can see what I'm talking about, so we get on to the actual video that kinda is a better showing how much you earn and stuff if you do a good game. But, I'm trying to play as a sniper role. I'm seeing all my tanks I have, but as you could pause it really quick to show you really quick what I'm talking about, audience, let me go way over here. All these tanks here, Jackal, I have like a Jackal, a Super Hellcat, a Dragool, and a KV-4, all sitting in the back, meaning none of them wouldn't move. Meanwhile, over here, if I could see him, where is he? I have a medium over here, the T-20 sniping. Now, as you can see on the enemy map with the enemy tanks, there's the Kiwi, the Chiri, CDC Black and some other tank destroyers like the Wiz and the Fake Tank, I like to call it. And then you got good old me that's literally right here. Now, of course, I don't see all this, obviously, but my point is, it's... You'll see in a minute how I wanted to put this in the video, how bad this was. So here I am trying to get some sniping roll in, but I keep getting 6 cents, which thank you God I had that as a first perk. I know getting more view range would probably help it doing sniping by myself, but I thought my team would move up and probably push forward. But they didn't. They're still behind the hill. Now, granted, yes, you can argue saying, well, Jackal can't push. The low tiers cannot push. Dragul can't push. But you got a whole open field and a light tank sitting right out in the open right there, spotting it for the destroyers. And the destroyers are having a field day shooting it. Now, see, like right there, I almost got hit, so I'm being smart and go down as quickly as possible after the reload to go down here, try to push that light tank out of there, but then I saw the CDC, I fired it on the move, I hit it, but he hits me, set me on fire, I put it out with the fire extinguisher, always have a fire extinguisher for this tank, by the way. So here I am pushing around this hill, pushing, and I see the freaking Lycan, who's trying to run away. So here I am. I was about to shoot it, try to hit it, and of course I timed it wrong, and he ran over the hill. But I couldn't let that light tank live because I didn't know how many tanks were over there. My team was getting shot at like crazy. I needed to get rid of this light tank, so I did the stupidest thing possible. I tried to bum rush him. Meanwhile, I'm getting shot at. Yep, there's another 314, but I'm trying to go after him. I tracked him, but he repaired it. My ally tracked him again. I'm like, good. Time to get rid of you, like an asshole, and then dead. Now, you could say I'm an idiot, because now I'm down to 254 hit points. I know. I fucking goofed up, but nobody else was going to push him, and if you see behind me, we lost those two tanks. We lost the Dragul. We're losing the other tanks. We're losing them really badly because of the snipers, and I was like, I'm trying to get up there to spot, even though this tank is not designed to spot, but here comes the CDC, he's trying to kill me, but instead he shoots the Hellcat, thankfully. I hate to say that about the poor Hellcat, but he could take a hit. I'm dead, but then he died, and I'm like, ooh, maybe never mind. So I hit him again on the move, fired at him, and I'm like, oh crap, this CDC is gonna kill me now. So I'm like, okay. It's like I'm getting ready to shoot him. I'm going to try to keep an eye on him, try to keep him in my sight. But unfortunately I missed, but thankfully he didn't notice me shooting because he didn't shoot, and then he shot me right in the track angle, and then I killed him. He's probably bitching up a storm. So now I'm on to the 2 kills, but as you can see on the top right corner of how bad my team is, I'm the only one who killed 2 tanks. Literally, 2 tanks. And now, here's my 3rd kill. Bang. Cheery dead. I'm the only one getting kills in my entire team. And it's like, what's going on? Why is my team doing... This is why I hate support role tanks. I mean, I love this medium because you're going to see right here. I'm hold down. He fired and hit my commander's hatch. Ricocheted off it. Tried to use the CDC for cover, but someone shot me again and boop, ricochet on the whole armor. He must have fired heat because that's the only way that I could bounce that, but at the same time, I'm like, oh god. So I'm trying to use the rocks now to hold down, but there's no way. So I thought I'm going to get killed by this light tank coming up the hill, but no, artillery lands his shot directly. Now, as I said before, this is not something you want in your game. You do not want to be flanked like this or tormented like this. You need to group up with people that are going to spot, going to assist you. Now you could turn this lovely tank into a spotter tank, but you could see why what I did was dumb. I get it, but that's not how you're supposed to play it. But I wanted to show you, even if I wasn't not supposed to play it, I still walked away with 3 kills, still being on the top leaderboard at the end of the game. And if you want proof of that, I'll show you. Like I said, this is probably my worst game I've ever done in it, but there you go. Killed 3 tanks, did 1,163 damage. Awful. I get it. You're all going to say in the comments, Fury, what the fuck were you smoking doing all this? I had to get rid of the light tank. I had to. Without that light tank, we would have still been spotted. Artie would have picked us off even faster. I was delaying the inevitable at that point. But as you can see here, to prove to you, there, top leaderboard. So let me show you now the real game that I've done. That actually is a better... Okay, audience. This is a better video to show. I just wanted to show that in the beginning, but now we can talk about my personal feelings. Right now we're in a tier 10. Not something I want to be in. But you know, that's what Wargaming said this tank could be. And I'm like, oh, alright. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I love this tank. And I know it has some problems. I know it can't brawl. I know it can't do any of all this. But now you're going to see why I like it more than that when I played this game. So here I am, trying to use the best armaments. Now, you probably don't see it, but let me pause it real quick to show you what I mean. So down here, down the road, is a most deadly freaking SU-130. I think it's the SU, or is it ISU-1? I don't remember the names of these. If I can get the name of it. God, okay. I think we all know what this tank is. It's basically the Shishka and stuff like that tank. Oh, there we go. ISU-130 PM. So you got that tank looking down the road. Now, I don't know this yet, but I will in a minute. But here I am aiming down. But as you can see where my choice of cover is, I'm using the hill, but I'm using the weakest part of my commander's hatch to have more cover. Like, say for example, you're the enemy tank sitting right here. So when you're shooting me, yeah, you could still hit my cupola, but look closely. The hill and the terrain and the debris is blocking more of the right commander's hatch with this, which is exactly what you want, because the left commander hatch is built in so deep into the tank that you have a better chance of blocking with that than your deformed tumor on the other side. Like, looking at it really close now, as you can see, you see what I'm talking about. The left side is more flatter than the right side. So you want the more flattest part getting hit more than your left one getting pinned more. And you'll see in a minute. Play the video, go back to the tank. So see right there, I've been spotted, and I'm firing away. Shot him, and he ricocheted right off me. Or did he ricochet? I couldn't tell. He did bounce one shell off me. But as you can see here, trying to play it smart, side scraping on a building to where they can't hit that big, huge weak spot. Making it really good. Now here comes the SU Conqueror, but he tries to side scrape, but thanks to the gun accuracy on this, I shot right above his commander's hatch with ease, making it easily a toothpicking pending shot. Now I know you're not supposed to brawl like this, but at this situation when you're in Himmelsdorf, this is how exactly you play the tank. You make sure that left hand, well, if you're looking at your tank this way, left hand version of your commander's hatch with the big huge tumor on the top of the head be not exposed, but the other side do expose. So I'm penning and penning, pretty much penned all the shots I fired. I did a good chunk of damage, which is beautiful. Remember, this is a stock crew. This is not, I didn't put in a three perk crew kind of thing where there's so many perks. So here we are, waiting for the Death Star to fire because I'm being a gentleman, letting him take the damage. Fired, didn't kill him, that was about to kill him. See, I was about to fire again, but Object 252, you got it. So this is why I love the tank so much. If nobody bothers you, you sit in the back at that 400 meters to 200 or 300 meters. If no one shoots you, it becomes a really decent tank. 500 meters and 600 meters, yes, I could see that being a problem of trying to pen stuff, because you're going to see at the end of the video how it's got a huge problem. So here I am trying to deja vu around the corner and try to fucking go in here. But as soon as I get around this corner trying to fire at this Frenchie, that was my only shot I missed. I didn't pen it. The AMX 13105 got it first. So here I am trying to push with the team. We're winning. We cut through the center of the belly of the beast. Now we're trying to push in. So I'm seeing over here and I'm like, uh-oh, Scorpion G. But he's like, you know what? I didn't get a lot of damage. I'm going to test out the brawling. So this is like my second game of the day. So I'm like going in. shooting again, trying to see, like, oh fuck, I gotta outrun that gun. Gotta outrun that gun, like the movie Fury. Gotta outrun that gun. Oh shit. And that's why I love rounded tanks. The shot he fired ricochet on the strongest flat part of my tank. It did not pen, audience. That is a ricochet. This is why I love the Lurva. This is why I love any tanks with rounded heads. Because shots like that with APCR or any shot is a better chance blocking than just an angle triangles plating like this Scorpion has compared to anything. And I thought that was beautifully showing how strong the head turret can be if you constantly keep moving and not let them hit the two tumors on your head. So, sorry, let's go back to watching. So here I am, I ricocheted off that shot. He's probably royally pissed, but I missed because, ghost shell right through the tank. So here I am trying to spin around, shoot him again, and I'm like, oh god, and then I got saved by the Death Star again. So, yeah, that was a beautiful game. I've lost no health in this game, audience. I tried to shoot this tank many miles away. I'll try to show it real quick. Yeah, I was trying to shoot that heavy tank. I penned him once, but I've accidentally turned out of the way really quick. My bad. So here I am trying to snipe, and here's the problem. This is like 600 to 700 meters, and here's the major problem. I'm trying to shoot, but RNGesus is fucking me because the minute I fire, I keep hitting the house. I have a good reticle on them. It's just it keeps aiming at the lowest reticle part to shooting them. And I try to shoot again, it ricocheted. So, yeah, you're going to have a problem sniping with it, especially with APCR. And that's all I've been spamming is APCR. And we won. Death Star got him from miles away. Good shot. So you can see the devastation of the tank if played right and not have a team that's going to get obliterated so easily. That's why I wanted to show that beginning clip of what not to do versus a tank what to do. It's really a tank that's designed to be patient and snipe your enemies out. It's not designed to push forward like I did with a light tank, but again, to my defense, I was the only one that was capable enough to even get up there, spot the light tank to try to kill it, because it was spotting everybody, but this is what I mean, like, this is how it should play. So, let me show you the reward. Look at that reward. You could say much better than the reward we've been getting from, that tier A game that I had to fucking no choice play a light tank. But playing it right, you can see the credits rolling in. Now I've destroyed one tank in that game, which was the Scorpion. Not the Scorpion. Who did I destroy? Oh yeah, the Destroyer Soviet. I killed that one. I beat the hell out of the people down the hallway. Sorry, excuse my phone on that. I beat the hell down the hallway of all the enemies. I did 11 direct hits, which is very beautifully good for a medium tank, especially with a 7.5 second reload. That means I only miss 3 shots and detected one enemy. But look at the credits rolling in, guys. 126,000 credits and 908. Without premium, I would have still almost walked away with 100k credits. XP, very good XP, normally. Free XP, not so much, but decently okay. And crew XP 4,457 versus the 2,971. Not bad. And where am I on the leaderboard? I am in 5th place. Sorry about all the phone call thing, audience. So now, let's talk about the final verdict. Now, the K-91 version 2. This tank is a sniper, obviously, but let's recap everything. The gun is mediocre low damage like a Super Persian, Motherland, and all those tanks, but slightly a little bit better than the Motherland. It's got amazing head turn armor if they don't hit the 2 metal parts of the tank, the 2 tumors I call them. Heads rotated in turret, head armor, beautiful, but hull armor, completely bad. APCR is somewhat good, but heat is your best chance of penning things at a good distance, but yeah, the price of it. Like I said, it reminds me of the Object 432. So, and the spotting range is also bad.
but fixing it can be making it a decently good okay for its type of class. Brawling is going to get you killed unless you go up against tanks that you know what you're capable of dealing with and not being able to kill certain weak spots on your tank, like slightly above an 88, pending those 2 weak spots on your head. So, final verdict. Well, it plays up to a tier 10, and for the cost of this tank, and I do have to compare that to the cost, is for the lowest price you can get is $8,650, which is fairly cheap for a medium tank. Fairly cheap. So I can't give it too much doubt on it. Now, if you bought the Prime Mega Bundle, even if you get all those boosters and stuff in premium days, get the cheapest one. It's not worth all that gold, and especially not worth all that time. So how do I conclude a tank that is, I have fun with it, but people have a problem with it keeping alive sometimes in it. Heat spamming is your only chance. It's designed to snipe, but it's just got horrible at 500-meter range. I would have to say for this tank alone, and despite that I love this tank a lot, but I have to be fair, for the price, tier it goes in, what it's capable of, what's the flaws, weaknesses, and all that, it's fair to rate it that. Because again, audience, plays up to tier 10s. Cost for getting this tank at the lowest cost is a very decent price for what it is. Yes, I wish it was down to 6,000 gold like everybody else wishes every 8 should be. But for what you're getting with here, especially a decent medium tank, like if you love the playstyle of the Object 432 or its tier 10 brothers, you may like this tank, especially the K-92 tank too. But honestly, to me, personally, there maybe will be better medium tanks to play with that has better chance of survivability and all that, better spotting range, better capability. But I found fun with this tank, and for the price of its gold, I'm not going to beat it around too much. But it does have flaws. So get some buddies, get some friends if you have this tank, and play together. Have your tank being a support role for them and also a sniper. So, good hunting, and I hope this helps a little bit to teach you the K-92-1 version 2, and we'll be seeing you very shortly too, audience, because I will be reviewing the Season Pass next one episode pretty soon. I'm getting the video all ready for you guys, so we'll be seeing you very shortly. But until then, comrades, you have fun hunting those tanks, and roll out, my team. Good out there luck. Bye, guys.